November 19th, 2025. A day that will likely be remembered as the moment scientists realized just how far beyond our models the object known as E31 Atlas truly is. Because today, after months of measurements, recalculations, and cross-checking between observatories, the 12th officially recognized anomaly of this interstellar visitor has been confirmed. And this one, according to several astrophysicists, may be the most unsettling of all. Not because it's dramatic, but because it breaks mathematics, math we've used for a century without ever seeing it fail. 7 independent telescopes, including high-precision rotational observatories, locked onto 31 Atlas this summer and captured incredibly accurate rotation data. The result was clean, consistent, and repeated multiple times between July and August. 31 Atlas rotates once every 16 hours. No variation, no drift, no ambiguity. Every measurement said the same thing. Then came November. New imaging showed something no one was prepared for. Massive, razor-thin jets of material, stretching millions of kilometers from the object's surface, and they looked nothing like the diffuse, spiraling trails we expect from a rotating comet. These jets were straight, sharp, focused. They looked like cosmic laser beams perfectly aligned in space. And that is where the problem begins. At the speeds calculated by Avi Loeb and collaborating researchers, the material coming off the surface of 31 Atlas would take about 1 full month to travel from the object to the visible ends of these jets. But during that same month, the object itself completes around 45 full rotations. A normal, rotating comet spraying out material would twist and smear that gas into curved spirals. The jets would fan outward in different directions because the body is turning underneath them. This is basic physics. This is momentum. This is what every rotating object in space naturally produces. But 31 Atlas doesn't do that. Its jets remain straight, unbroken, directed. They do not curve. They do not expand outward, and they do not show any of the rotational distortion that should occur after 45 full spins. Instead, the jets behave as if the object isn't rotating at all. And yet we know it is. We measured it, repeatedly. The more scientists stare at these images, the more impossible the geometry becomes, and the more they realize that our current models simply cannot account for this behavior. So the search for explanations began, and Avi Loeb proposed several possibilities, each one interesting, each one flawed, and each one revealing just how strange 31 Atlas really is. The first theory is simple on paper. Maybe the object's rotation slowed dramatically since July. If 31 Atlas barely spins now, then the jets wouldn't smear. But this fails almost immediately. When a comet loses material unevenly, the reaction forces actually make it spin faster, not slower. And not only do the newest images show 31 Atlas still intact and behaving normally, but there is no evidence of any event, no fragmentation, no impact that could have drastically altered its rotation. The physics disagrees, the imaging disagrees, and the behavior disagrees. So the first theory collapses. The second theory is more creative. Maybe the surface of 31 Atlas is shaped in a very specific way. Deep valleys surrounded by extremely tall mountains. Ice might sit at the bottom of these shadowed regions. As the object rotates, the terrain blocks sunlight most of the time, but once every rotation, the angle lines up perfectly, and sunlight hits the ice directly. The ice heats up, vaporizes, and sends out a jet. Then, as the surface turns away again, the shadow returns and the jet shuts off. This would create a rhythmic burst of material every 16 hours. But once again, the math ruins it. If you send a pulse every 16 hours, and the material takes a month to travel outward, then you would end up with a chain of separated puffs, like beads on a string spaced out across millions of kilometers. Yet the jets we see are continuous, smooth, seamless, no separation at all. That directly contradicts what this explanation predicts. The third theory is the simplest. Maybe 31 Atlas broke apart. Maybe we aren't looking at jets at all, but rather long, straight debris trails. But astronomers have already confirmed that the object remains intact. The November 11th images show no signs of breakup, no cloud of chunks, no scattering of fragments, nothing that would suggest structural failure. So unless all of the imaging somehow recorded identical errors, this theory fails as well. That leads to the fourth theory, the controversial one, the one most scientists don't agree with but cannot completely dismiss. Before explaining it, it's important to remember the full history of contradictions surrounding this object. This is not the first anomaly. This is the 12th. 31 Atlas contains far more nickel than any known comet. Instead of being mostly water, its composition is only 4% water, practically the opposite of every comet in our catalog. Its light polarization is unlike any natural body ever measured. It arrived from nearly the same direction as the famous 1977 WOW signal. It brightened faster than any comet ever recorded, and whenever a normal explanation appears, the next observation immediately breaks it. When astronomers thought it was a comet, it showed almost no water. When they suggested it might be a dry comet, the polarization made no sense. When they considered an asteroid, it produced jets stretching millions of kilometers. One answer, three new questions, over and over. And now the rotation problem sits, and on top of all of that, these impossibly straight jets that should not exist. So Loeb proposes one last possibility, something radical, something that would rewrite the meaning of the object entirely. What if the jets aren't natural outgassing at all? What if they are technological thrusters? In spacecraft, thrusters fire in precise directions regardless of how the vehicle is rotating. Even if the craft is tumbling, the navigation system maintains a fixed orientation relative to space. The thrust points where it is needed, not where the surface happens to be facing at the moment. This means a spinning craft could still produce perfectly straight, stable jets. And that is exactly what 31 Atlas appears to be doing. Now, this theory raises more questions than answers. No one is claiming that this object is artificial, but mathematically, the only known mechanism that produces straight jets from a rotating body is an oriented propulsion system. Nothing in natural comet physics predicts this behavior. Nothing in solar heating dynamics produces it. Nothing in our current models explains why the jets remain perfectly aligned despite 45 full rotations. Over the next several weeks, spectrographs will study the composition of the jets with extreme precision. If the results show normal cometary gases, water vapor, carbon dioxide, maybe dust, moving at expected speeds, then scientists will have to find a new natural mechanism that keeps jets coherent despite rotation. And that would be a major discovery in physics. But if the measurements come back with unexpected compositions, if the speeds don't match solar-heated sublimation, if the mass being expelled is inconsistent with the size of the object, if the jets contain materials no known comet can naturally produce, then every natural explanation collapses, and we will be left with the first object in human history that does not fit any category we have for space phenomena. Whatever the result, one truth is already clear. What 31 Atlas is doing right now should not be possible. And the moment we uncover the mechanism behind these impossible jets, our understanding of interstellar objects, of physics, and possibly of our place in the universe will have to change. So as the data continues to come in, scientists around the world wait with equal parts excitement and unease, knowing that the answer, whatever it is, will force us to rethink everything we thought we knew about how the cosmos works.